Well, I think in any of us, that ability is developed and matured with practice, right? But I will say with kids, I don't know that you're going to like this. I think they have to see you being patient first.
What a revolutionary idea. Well, hey, Three Creeks. My name is Joel. We are in week 5. This is part 2. I'm here with Beth Gilger. She is one of us. She is a Three Creekser, and I just feel very honored to get to sit with you today. I think in a minute you're going to find out a little bit more of why. I feel excited about having Beth talking about today's topic, which is patience. Proverbs 16:32 says, "Better a patient man than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city." And so, Beth, I guess maybe before I get into the questions about patience, maybe just for those of us at Three Creeks that don't know who you are, maybe tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have, for the last 21 years, been a stay-at-home mom. We have homeschooled our kids, all 3 of them, all the way through. Actually, Caleb will be a public school student this year. He is a senior, so.
Wow.
I know, huge change in our house.
Right.
Anyway, I'm in a time of transition. The kids are starting to fly the nest, and Jeff and I, my husband, we've been married almost 25 years, 25 in November.
Maybe just start with something simple, something at 10,000 feet to you. What is patience?
Yeah. When I step back and I think about it, your knee-jerk reaction is, well, patience is the ability to wait. It's the ability to wait well without anger or anxiety or stress. But I think too, when you really look at it, patience can also be a type of forbearance or long suffering. Maybe even a stick with it kind of thing that, again, without anxiety or stress, just calm, long suffering.
Yeah, something that, frankly, I don't feel like I have a whole lot of. And I know I speak for a lot of people watching and go, it just doesn't feel like patience is a characteristic that I possess. It's probably one that we all think, oh, that's probably a pretty good idea, but if I could choose patience or like somebody who gets it done quickly, we probably all would opt for that one. It seems easier. We all have Amazon Prime.
We do.
Because we're impatient, and there's something about being patient. As you look back on your life, what have been a few of the things that have helped you develop patience, just this ability to wait well?
Well, I think, first and foremost are the times when I wasn't patient and I suffered the consequences.
Yeah.
You learn from trial and error, I guess, or learn the hard way. So, that's a good way to learn to be patient, when you understand that the consequences of not being patient are worse than the alternative.
Yeah.
I think, too, when I really look at patience, it's a trust in knowing that, God has it. And if I'm waiting on Him, I have no reason to be impatient. That He wants more for me than I could ever want for myself. His ways are going to be so much better. And 2, I think, growing in patience, as I realize how patient God has been with me, I really have no reason to not be patient with those around me. I've been granted so much patience that I should show that as well.
What do you feel like are some, we apologize for the saw in the background. This pool is not quite as peaceful as it looks right now. When you look back on your life and you go, man, that's something that I wanted really bad and I want it right now, and then maybe God gave it to you in his timing, and you look back and you go, no, I'm glad that it happened that way. What are those things that maybe young people, we want it right now, but God's for our benefit making us wait?
Yeah. It's interesting that you referenced young people, because when I look back, it was the big choices in life, or the big steps in life, where I wasn't as patient as I should have been. I wasn't content. And I think lack of patience also encompasses a lack of content. You know, I'm not happy with where I am.
Yeah.
I want to get somewhere else, so I'm impatient to get there. I remember I was impatient to get married. And I know that there are, and marriage is a good thing. It's a God thing, but it has to be in His timing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are many out there that kind of feel the same way.
Yeah.
And too, with starting a family, I didn't come to the Lord until I was about 26. So I was very young in my faith when all of these big life changes were happening, and still felt like I hadn't quite learned to trust. I was still very in control. So, we had all these plans, and when those plans didn't go the way I thought they should, that's when the impatience kind of sets in, the discontent.
Do you feel like, probably specifically with Abigail, I know that that's something that you and Jeff had to be patient with and prayerful about and I know there's a lot of people in our church who have kind of struggled with that same thing. Looking back on it now, what do you feel like God was teaching you in that?
Yeah. So many things. I think that the biggest thing that he taught me through that was that this child, Abigail, when eventually she did arrive, that she was his, and he granted us stewardship over her life, but she belongs to him, and I think had we not walked through, we had a miscarriage before we had Abigail. I'm pretty sure had we not walked through that, I don't know, I wouldn't have had that attitude towards her, and her sister and her brother.
Just maybe almost would have felt more possessive. This is ours. Don't take this away from me.
Yeah.
Wow. And then now, you look at, like you said, they're all flying the nest. And probably, I'm sure, you have to continue to have that feeling of like, they were never ours.
Right. I mean, absolutely. And, every parent longs for the day when they see that the faith of their children belongs to their children. It's not the parents' faith anymore. And God in His grace has allowed me to see that with each of my kids. It looks different for each one of them, but just knowing that He's got them just like He's got me, and I just have to trust that.
Thinking back to when like Abigail and Lydia and Caleb were all 7, 5, 3, not a whole lot of patience going on in their lives at that point. Like when my daughter wants something to eat or drink, it is like now or meltdown. So maybe just share some wisdom with a young parent like myself who goes, how do I instill the ability to wait in my kids without, there's the obvious, like, you gotta wait, but maybe something beyond that where you go, how do I help my kids develop this ability to wait well?
Well, I think in any of us, that ability is developed and matured with practice, right? But I will say with kids, I don't know that you're going to like this. I think they have to see you being patient first.
What a revolutionary idea.
I know. And I think they're going to, what is it? They catch more than they'll do what they see you do more than what they hear you say.
It's good. Sometimes.
And if they, even further than that, if they can see you being patient because of your trust in what the Lord's timing, you know, then that's kind of a double bonus, right?
For sure.
So parents need to, I think, model
That's really good.
patience. And it's not easy. I don't say that having, figured that out. I say that, looking back. Like you asked me, how do you learn to be patient over life? Well, you try and you fail, and that's why I say that.
Yeah. And the problems are different, right? Like Cooper wants a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I might want to buy a house and continue to be outbid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as she gets older, like she sees me handle that disappointment with grace and patience, and God's got this. And you would think that over time that would kind of just be sown into her life,
Mm-hmm.
and it would become something that she sees as wise.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And it starts in, like you said, it starts in the little things. It
Right.
starts with the drink I want now, but
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. And rather than just saying, be patient,
yeah,
like, let me show you.
absolutely.
How do
And
we-
that's over time. But I think, too, parents can probably construct situations where a child's patience is rewarded. Something
Sure.
simple like, if you can play for 10 minutes, whatever is an age-appropriate amount, we'll have ice cream or some small little
Sure.
treat. And then if they succeed at that, at a time when they become impatient, you can remind them, do you remember when you were patient and,
Right.
and the good thing that happened? So
That's really good.
You can create situations where you're teaching them patience.
Yeah. It's funny. Like, even as I'm sitting here listening to you talk, I think to myself, I'm thinking my kids aren't patient. Like, when they want something, they want it now.
Well,
I mean, I bet you if you added up the impatience in
Yeah.
my life when I sit in traffic or when I go stand in line somewhere, I am so impatient.
Mm-hmm.
And those would be situations like, what an opportunity to show your kids, like, just be patient. I'm like telling myself that right
absolutely,
now.
absolutely. Well, those little things happen all the time. So
Yeah, right.
they are opportunities, and then there are opportunities for you to grow too,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
we all. I always tell my kids, there's a reason that the Bible tells us to whatever. In this case, be patient. It's because we're not naturally patient.
Right.
That we have to be told that this is something,
Right.
good for us.
Yeah. It's good. It's one of the fruits of the Spirit.
Yes.
It's evidence that God is in us.
Right.
Like, it's the fruit of the Holy Spirit in our life. Like, we are patient people. It's good. You think about people who maybe just aren't patient, who maybe don't even want to be patient, don't have any interest in growing in patience. Maybe speak to what that life's going to be like, the pitfall of that decision.
Sure. Well, I think the biggest one is danger. Just obviously depending on the situation, but in matters where you should be waiting on God. If you're not waiting, you're putting yourself in harm's way, I think. But you're also denying yourself the best. You're not getting God's best if you're doing things your way, if you're impatient. And I think too, those kinds of people are going to be very not content, not at peace.
Yeah.
It's kind of turmoil, I guess, is the word I see.
I feel like in the first question I asked, you said something like, being patient, there's not a lot of stress, there's not a lot of anxiety, there's this kind of this calmness. It's like the opposite than if you want to have a stressed, anxious life, be impatient, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's good.
Take control and do it your way, and
It's good. Yeah. Man, what a chronic disease among my generation.
well, I don't know that it's just your generation necessarily.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we are by nature impatient people, and we have found ways to feed our impatience, right? We have everything instantaneously now. So
Yeah.
our culture, our everyday life in America anyway, doesn't really foster patience.
Right. Right. Well, I have 4 more questions for you.
Okay.
I didn't prep you for these at all.
No, and I'm not good at these.
No, you'll be great. You'll be great. And they're just quick. First thing comes to your head.
All right.
Maybe one of them or 2 of them will be stupid or funny. We'll see. You have 3 great kids that love God. Could you give us one tip in parenting? Speak to everybody who's got 2 or 3 little ones. What's one thing we ought to do to help them grow in their life?
Wow. I mean, you are little ones. You are God's example to them. So you got to grow in your faith. Yeah.
Let them see it.
Yeah. And have fun with them. They are not little very often. Watch Paw Patrol or whatever it is now. It wasn't when my kids were little, but they just want to be with you. They just want to spend time with you.
It's good. I love it. Which one of these 2 experiences was more exhilarating? When you bowled a 300 or when you hit a hole-in-one in golf?
Thanks, Joel.
She wouldn't have mentioned it, so I had to.
So, if you're making me pick, I will say the 300 because the hole-in-one, quite frankly, was just dumb luck.
300 is not, though.
No, it wasn't.
Nobody gets
that was
300
awesome.
with luck. That is amazing. That is amazing. Okay,
awesome.
Question number 3.
Okay.
A movie that impacted your life.
Wow. Okay, this is the one that came to mind.
Come on.
When I was a teenager, there was a movie with Drew Barrymore. I think it was called Firestarter. And the only thing I remember is the close relationship that the little girl had with her dad. And that just really struck me.
That's cool. I feel like your husband has a great relationship with your daughter, so it was impactful.
I think a daddy-daughter relationship is super important.
Yeah, that's cool. Last question.
Okay.
One thing that somebody in their 20s and 30s ought to do every day.
Every day. I'm going to say pray. Obviously pray and read your Bible, right? So I'm speaking from my personality. It's super easy for me to read my Bible on an academic level.
Okay.
But I can't really pray on an academic level. For me, that's the relationship level with God.
Yeah.
And I can read my Bible, every day of the week and still be out of touch with the Lord. But if I'm praying and I'm listening, I'm not just, sending up a list of I need this today and this today. I can't be out of touch with that relationship.
That's good. Cool. Folks, this has been week 5 of Chasing Wisdom. Beth Gilger, thank you. Good news is she's not going anywhere. And as soon as we are all back together, you will get to see Beth. And if you have any questions about patience, raising kids, being married for almost 25 years, we have a ton to learn. So thanks for joining me on the Chase for Wisdom.